How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Ganji. Welcome to another episode of Chair Talk. Guys, great episode today. We're going to talk about, are you shadowing the right officer? Now, this is for our rookies out there because I have gotten questions. They're saying, hey, Ganji, you talk a lot about training, but how do I know if I'm shadowing the right officer? So me and Joe Paponio, we're going to discuss signs that you could be shadowing the wrong officer, signs of what to look for officers that you may want to shadow, officers that will get you in the right direction. We'll start off with leadership responsibility and making sure you are shadowing the right person. And then we're going to finish off with some strategies just in case you are shadowing the wrong person, what you can do. And it's going to be a great dialogue. Again, my guest is Joe Paponio. Guys, don't forget, guys, I got books on the market. So if you get a chance, go to my description and check out the books. I got 7 on the market right now, soon to have 8. I got one that's coming out soon from Blue 360 Media, which is going to be some good training for our rookies. Okay, let me get Joe. What up, Joe?
What's happening?
Joe, do you mind introducing yourself, please?
Yes, sir. My name's Joe Pomponio. I'm a retired lieutenant from the Texas Department of Corrections of 29 years and 6 months. Currently working as an assistant jail administrator in our jail division at the Sheriff's Department and a panel member here for Chair Talk.
Yes, and guys, this is a very important topic, Joe. We discuss training all the time, and I don't think we've ever done a video on kind of the signs that you're with someone who's going to teach you the right things or signs that you're with someone who's going to teach you the wrong things. But would you agree, man, good senior staff, having them as role models, making sure you're connected to the right one can truly help you in this career?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, being able to connect with a senior staff officer that's, a veteran officer that's been there for forever, knows the routines, and is willing to teach the rookies the right way, definitely utmost importance.
All right, so I do got my notes here as well, but the first I want to start off with first is leadership's role in shadowing. So supervisors must take responsibility for pairing rookies with the right mentors. Strong leadership ensures rookies are exposed to officers who model professionalism, teamwork, and a commitment to safety. Now, here's the point that I want to emphasize. When leadership assigns the wrong mentor, they don't just risk harming the rookie. They risk creating a ripple effect of poor habits across the facility. I've said this before, Joe, and I know you agree. This is the introduction to the rookie in their career. If you're going to tag them to someone who doesn't believe in the job, doesn't find value, it's going to really set a negative tone for the rookie at the very beginning of their career. And another, I've always said this too, guys. If you don't like the career and you're put in a position to train someone, when you start to complain, and we'll get to that, you're going to wind up pushing them out of this career because these rookies are not going to understand what those concerns are right from day one. They're just trying to get in, feel embraced, and they need somebody to show them a way. So as a leader, you got to make sure that you have the right people in those positions to introduce people to this profession. This is not a hookup post. It's a post where you need the right person to basically walk these rookies into this profession, showing them that they're welcome and being there to, help them through it, navigate through it, advocate for them if need be. But Joe, how important is leadership when it comes to signing those trainees, or maybe later on a developed mentor?
Oh, it's of absolute importance because morale. I've always seen kind of like a river. Negativity flows downstream, and it usually flows fast. Where positivity, you're fighting against a current, and it takes you a little more time to get there. When you're assigning rookies to veteran staff, you got to keep that in mind. You want somebody, that's going to train with enthusiasm, professionalism, has good integrity, and doesn't complain. Somebody who actually walks the professional walk and talks the professional talk. Spreading negativity at the onset of a rookie coming in will set the tone quicker than any positive message that you can get across. So it's, you don't want to burn the rookie out within the first week and them going home thinking, Jesus, man, what did I get myself into? All this dude does is complain. This place sucks, and they haven't even seen the whole place yet. So having somebody with, enthusiasm, integrity, good communication skills, and is there to actually and willing to actually teach and show the ropes is definitely of most importance. So, as supervisors, we need to make sure that we're pairing these rookies with people of equal and good value.
Yeah, guys, as I said, it's not a hookup post, or it's not someone that you put into the post because you don't know what else to do with them. It's a post that requires truly someone that has value for what they do, believes in the job, and is able to welcome the rookie, which kind of gets us right into the first part. So signs you're shadowing the wrong person. So that might as well get it out of the way. We kind of touched on it already, but frequent complaints or negativity. So why is that bad? So constant negativity creates a toxic mindset, leading rookies to become disengaged or disillusioned about the role. This undermines morale and blinds them to the positive impact they can have. So real quick, guys, and we kind of just mentioned it, but just reiterate it. This is the person's introduction to the profession. So this is the first day of their career. You can't set them up next to someone who all they're going to do is bastardize the profession, bastardize the rookie, bastardize the peers. I mean, to be honest with you, if I was coming into this profession and that's all I faced on day one, I would probably look to get out. I'm not going to lie. And with that said, when people say it's the profession that's making these rookies leave, most of the rookies no, it's not the profession. It's just, I don't want to be this disgruntled guy, by the time I'm in my 25th year. One of the examples I have for this, Joe, is a rookie shadows an officer who constantly says this job is pointless. No one cares what we do. And over time, the rookie adopts this attitude, which affects their performance and professionalism. And again, that's more for the long run. I mean, obviously, we do have rookies that decide, I'm going to rough it out. Think about who they're going to become, once they're introduced to this one officer. That's the first officer they see. That's their initial perspective of everything about the profession. So as soon as they come in, this person that they see is the initial perspective of this profession. This is their foundation. Why would we not want that to be something positive, something that instills value and purpose in the profession? But again, Joe, connecting a rookie to someone that frequently complains or is just constantly negative, that to me, we have to work on a lot more than we are now. We have to stop that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. First impressions are everything, and you want the first impression for a rookie officer to not be a negative interaction. It's, they say first impressions are everything, and that will set the tone quick. I've seen it happen. And you leave the rookie second guessing themselves whether or not they want to continue with this job, or if it's something they're doing, they start undermining their own authority. It's just not a good environment. It's very important that you pick training officers or mentoring officers or shadowing officers that, again, are professional, have enthusiasm, have a purpose, have a meaning for the job, and actually have the dedication and the willingness to teach. Putting them with somebody who complains all the time, is just not happy in their own ways, in their own life, gives the mindset to the rookie that they got themselves into something they really don't want to be in. And that's not the picture we're trying to paint. We're all about trying to keep the employees, not run them off.
Yeah, guys. And as leaders, senior officers, supervisors, we know who these people are. We do. So, if you're in a position to put the rookie next to somebody, hopefully you don't put them next to someone that is negative. This kind of goes into cutting corners is the next one. So again, leaders, supervisors, peers, we know which officers tend to cut corners. With that said, why is that bad? Cutting corners compromises safety, creating habits that can lead to security breaches or liability issues. For example, the officer says, skip that cell check. It's never a problem anyway. The rookie adopts this habit, and one day an inmate uses the unchecked cell to hide contraband. I want to mention something here when it comes to cutting corners. So when rookies first come in, they're going to be invested in policy and procedure. So they're going to kind of have a good understanding of the what, not so much the how, but the what of what's the expectation of that policy, that procedure. The how is going to be taught to the officer, I guess, as whoever they're shadowing. And then you would like to think, and we'll get to this later on, so is the why. And this kind of puts a beautiful picture together from the policy, the idea of learning the policy, all the way through to the application. Now, granted, you don't want someone teaching the officer bad practices right from day one, or teaching them practices that only a senior officer may be able to do. You really want this rookie to have an understanding of the basics, because everything really goes from the basics. So if I'm a rookie, I may not know right off the bat that this officer is cutting corners. But with that said, leadership, supervisors, my peers, they may know what type of officer I'm connected to right now. Because again, usually when you have someone cutting corners, someone's cleaning it up. Let's not lie. So if Joe, God forbid, but let's say Joe in this example is cutting corners, someone is cleaning it up. So granted, now if I decide to put a rookie, I'm in leadership, and I decide to put a rookie next to Joe, that's a bad move on leadership. That's a bad move on the supervisors. Whoever it was that assigned that rookie to Joe, that's a bad move. That's a bad move, because you know the type of officer that Joe is. And what I don't like is this either. I know Joe is going to get the rookie today. So as a supervisor, I go to Joe and say, hey, Joe, I'm going to give you a rookie today. Hey, do me a favor. Let's do this right today. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Joe isn't doing it right. So with that said, now you want to put a rookie next to him and beg Joe to do it right today. It doesn't work that way. Find someone for this rookie to connect with that does it right all the time, and not because you're begging them to do it right. Because I'll be honest with you, when you're doing it wrong for so long, you don't even know what's right anymore. Your practices become what you feel are defined policies until later on you're exposed. But Joe, what's your thoughts on putting rookies next to people that cut corners? I mean, the responsibility on that, I think, would be on leadership, supervisors, et cetera, peers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You don't want to put somebody, you don't want to put a rookie with somebody who's going to cut corners. I mean, it doesn't leave a good impression. B, it's not the right thing to do. And C, it doesn't teach them the right way. Cutting corners eventually is gonna come back to bite you or bite somebody, and it may even bite that rookie, because they done taught the rookie how to cut corners, and this rookie's thinking that it's normal practice, normal protocol, and then later on down the line, he gets in trouble for something because he was cutting corners that he thought it was right all along, because that was the way he was taught. And that's not the positive image we want to leave. Cutting corners, especially during the training process, is not a good thing to do. We want to be able to train these rookies the right way. We want to show them the full job scope, and what they're supposed to be doing. And as supervisors, it's pivotal that we pair these people with veteran staff that are enthusiastic about doing their job, doesn't cut corners, and is willing and will show the rookie the right way.
Yeah, and I got to admit, when you cut corners, the first thing you're probably losing or you're sacrificing are the basics.
Absolutely,
it's true, and it's I've seen it. The next thing I got is overfamiliarity with inmates. So why is that bad? So overfamiliarity blurs boundaries, making it harder for rookies to maintain authority. It opens the door to manipulation and compromises security. So an example is the officer jokes with inmates and shares personal details, the rookie following suit, not realizing the inmates are testing boundaries to exploit weaknesses. Guys, this to me is important, because I think the interactions that you showcase to the rookie with the inmate population matters, because I think that is probably the area where you're going to find the most ambiguity, because it's a dynamic. It truly is. I mean, inmates are going to talk to a rookie differently than they'll talk to a senior officer, or they'll talk to Joe different than they talk to me. I mean, there's just so many variables. So the rookie needs to kind of see what works and what doesn't work. And we kind of talked about this in a show before. It's somewhere between assertive and professionally empathetic. So we're not looking at aggression. We're not looking at the other side being soft, but somewhere in the middle of assertive and professionally empathetic is where the good authority lies. Now, when you're a senior officer and you're allowing the inmates to blur the boundaries instead of showcasing the rookie where those boundaries are, that's going to be a problem, because the foundation of where those boundaries are set for that rookie is going to come from who they see interacting with those inmates. That's why right now I want good senior staff showcasing to my rookie officers how to interact with the inmates. That to me is the most important thing. And when we're losing these senior staff, I know what we're losing when these senior staff leave is that dynamic of that true professionalism between that good, solid senior CO and the inmate population. So again, I can't express this enough. You know, guys, if you're working with that rookie, and let's say you're used to doing something a certain way, maybe you're a little bit more lenient. When you're working with that rookie, you got to step up the game and meet the rookie where they're at, which means that you're going to have to tell the inmates, hey, today, guys, the template's with the rookie. If he's going to go zero tolerant, which he should be doing or she should be doing, I'm also going to go zero tolerant, because the reason is I got to make sure that that officer has a strong foundation, because there's things that I may do with you guys that's really a senior officer able, you know, as a senior officer, I'm able to do, which I don't want them doing right now. So today I'm going to help this officer create a good, solid foundation, because I've seen it the other way where the senior officers are a bit weak and lenient. And then they're, training a rookie officer who then feels, you know what, maybe I can go in this way. And then what happens is their foundation is destroyed, because that's going to be their anchor. That's going to be, the template that they're going to set that the inmates will start trying to test. That's why you got to test. The rookie's got to be tested. The rookie's got to be at that absolute level of zero tolerance. And you would expect the senior officer to meet the rookie there when they're partnered together. What's your thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, we teach this as inmate 101. You never divulge information. You never talk about your personal life or personal history or, anything about you. And that should be a practice that's carried in, day in and day out. There shouldn't be something that, we have to go to the offenders and tell them, hey, today we're going to have to be this way because I have a rookie. It should already be that way. And we need to teach that the rookie that, it's not okay to divulge any kind of information about yourself, because, in the end run, they're going to use it against you in some way or fashion. It's just who they are. It's what they do. They have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to think about what information you give them and how they can use it against you to get what they want. So therefore, we need to teach them, right off the bat that over familiarity with an inmate, regardless, of, if they're from the same city, from the same high school, from whatever, they're an inmate, period. I mean, it shouldn't be any familiarity whatsoever.
Yeah, and then the next one I got is fails to explain actions. So why is that bad? Rookies need to understand the reason behind tasks to develop critical thinking skills. Without context, they may mimic behaviors without knowing their purpose. So an example is the officer instructs the rookie to perform a task, but dismisses questions with, just do it. The rookie misses the opportunity to learn why the task is important. So guys, the why behind what we do is extremely important. I figure the officers come in with an understanding of what, I guess that's the kind of the training of the policies and procedures, but obviously when they get to the facility, it's more about application. So they do lean a lot on the procedure. So you're going to have a lot of the senior officers teaching them the how that connects to the what. And I think also what should be invited by the officers that are in a position to lead the rookies is, this is why we also do it. I think the exchange of the why gives a chance for the rookie to connect with the senior officer. You get to share stories, get to, kind of give them the experience that you have that cultivates them into who they need to be. But more importantly, it's everlasting knowledge. I want the officers or the rookie officers to understand as soon as they can universal application. So universal application doesn't happen with just going through the routine like an automaton. It happens when someone's able to explain the why. That's the context. So later on, when you're facing similar situations, you can understand why this would fit or why it wouldn't fit. Because I know officers right now, rookies, that have trained with officers that just teach them the how. And maybe it's because they don't know the why, but they'll just teach them the how. And then the officer will wind up getting caught in a situation where they're trying to do that how because they think that how is needed, but it's a different context. And now the officer, the rookie is trying to put a piece of a puzzle into a puzzle that doesn't fit because no one took the time to sit with them and explain the context of how or why this how is employed. Would you agree with that, Joe? The failure to explain actions, I think, is a really bad move for anybody that's put in a training position.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be totally transparent and, totally honest with the rookie, because, the why is more important to me than the what and the how. These rookies are coming in, they're hungry for knowledge. They want to do the right thing. They will understand, how and why things work. And, it's very imperative that we teach them the why, because it doesn't do any good to teach them the what and the how if they don't understand the why. They want to know why, you made this decision. Was it a security issue? Was it a safety issue? So they have a better understanding, so they know how to apply it further down the road, if they come across the same situation. So yeah, definitely for me, when I used to teach, I felt it was important that the why was more important than the what and the how.
Yeah, I agree. The why is what translates to buy-in. It does. And I will say something real quick for leaders or supervisors that think you could just connect a rookie to just anybody. A lot of people don't teach the why because they don't know the why themselves. That's the shitty part. And the problem is that sucks for the rookie, because when the rookie's coming in, it's going to be like a young kid. Why? My kids do it to me all the time because things are new to them. And they're like, why? I want my kids to do that because every why gives them the knowledge they need to survive in this world. Well, the same thing with our rookies. When they come in, you should expect them to be asking why. The world is ambiguous to them. So you don't want them to be robots. You want them to go in and discover how this world works. So the next thing I got, Joe, is inconsistent behaviors. So I got, why is that bad? So inconsistency confuses rookies and teaches them to prioritize appearances over genuine professionalism. For example, the officer follows policy strictly when supervisors are present, but ignores them otherwise. The rookie learns to cut corners thinking it's acceptable. I want to mention something here with this, and I get what it's saying there. I think that's funny. That's actually a good thing, a good thing to mention here. I noticed even when I was a rookie, if I would see the officer that's training me shift when a supervisor came on scene or a more professional peer, that was my first sign that that's not an officer that I'm going to take much from. I expected to see no changes, to be honest with you. I expected to see consistency there, because one of the things that they taught us, which I'm not in agreement with, and I'll explain why, but one of the things they said is, you want to run a unit as if your family or your supervisors are watching you at all times. I get why they're saying that, because they're hoping that holds you to where you need to be. But I always say it's not about people watching you. You do the right thing because you're doing the right thing. But with that said, in this context, it makes sense. The inconsistency you would see from, I'm working with this officer, he's doing things one way, and all of a sudden the supervisor comes in, or a more professional peer, and he starts to shift. I want to mention another thing too with consistency. Consistency is the backbone for rookies. That's how they develop into strong COs. I would tell rookies at the very beginning, you are going to learn policy and procedure. So you have to be consistent at the very beginning in enforcing those. You got to be consistent to deal with conflict, so consistency is key. So if you're training with someone who's inconsistent, to me, that can make you extremely vulnerable, because inmates at all times, when they look to manipulate consistency. Trust me, they look to manipulate and break you away from consistent security matters, consistency in how you carry your authority. If at any moment they could break it away, try to expose maybe some favoritism, some bias in treatment. So being able to note if the officer you're shadowing is being inconsistent, I think that's a telltale sign that, this ain't going to be the officer for me that I want to model. Because one of the things too about consistency is it reinforces your ground. And as a rookie, you really got to be able to reinforce that ground and stand behind those correctional objectives. And the best way to do it is to remain consistent through the storm. What's your thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. We teach everybody to be firm, fair, and consistent in their duties every day. No matter what the situation is. And, if you're with somebody and you all of a sudden see them, their personality does complete 180 in the way that they're doing their job duties, the way they interact with inmates, the way they interact with you, the way they interact with supervision. yeah, that's definitely a telltale sign that that's not the person that you want to be learning from. The person that you want to learn from is that one that no matter who shows up on the duty post, they don't waver. They continue to do exactly what they've been teaching you to do. They stand behind you as they're shadowing you as you're making, interactions and stuff. It's having somebody teach you that's non-consistent. Is It's just not going to end well, because they don't give you many takeaways from the job, because that teaches you that you got to be one way when you're by yourself and another way when supervision shows up. And if we're doing our jobs correctly, if we're teaching you correctly, if we're using all of our core values while we're training you, then you shouldn't see any change in a person's behavior just because supervision or administration comes on their duty post.
Yeah, and guys, by the way, as a rookie, you should be able to see that shift in behavior, because it's within the extremes of whatever that dynamic is. If at one moment you notice that the person's a little bit too comfortable, and all of a sudden a supervisor comes in and they shift, I think that extreme is a good sign that you're not with that right person. All right, so next one I got 3 more left for the signs that they're not really a good person to shadow. I got discourages questions. So why is this bad? If rookies feel foolish for asking questions, they'll stop seeking clarification, which stunts their growth. An example, the rookie asks about a protocol and the officer responds with, "Don't waste my time with dumb questions." The rookie becomes hesitant to ask for help in the future. Hey guys, I want to mention something here. For rookies, when they come in, we have to make them feel included, and it's up to us to give them an environment where they feel comfortable to learn, which means that there are no dumb questions. Okay, remember, they're coming in with no understanding of how this environment works. So you may have all this experience and you may now forget what you needed to learn when you came in on day one. So there are no dumb questions. It's up to us to make that rookie feel included, and it's up to us to give that rookie a chance to be in an environment where they feel that they can ask questions. The moment you belittle them is the moment that they stop asking questions. And then, to be honest with you, at this point, especially in this profession, that's going to stunt their growth and actually ultimately hurt the facility in the long run. Joe, what's your thoughts on that? Have you ever dealt with like a senior officer that just don't want to handle the questions yet they're put in a training position?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was paired with a few people in my career that, as soon as, you go to ask a question, you get shut down. They either don't want to answer the question, or, to me, being shut down right out the gate, that just tells me I'm not going to ask you any more questions. We're going to get through this process so I can go ahead and get away from you. And I've seen it time and time again. And that's why I express that, taking the time to explain the why, as well as the hows, are important. The last thing we want to do is discourage any rookie from asking questions. Like you said, they're trying to find their way. They want to know, why things are taking place. They want to be able to do the right thing. And part of that process is asking and answering questions. So if you're not willing to answer questions for your rookie, you're going to wind up damaged now.
Yes, I agree. The next one I got is lack situational awareness. This is a good one. Why is it bad? A rookie who doesn't learn to read inmate behavior is at risk in high-stakes situations. Example, the officer walks through the unit without noticing subtle warning signs like inmates gathering in groups. The rookie misses the chance to develop vigilance. I'm going to tell you something. I've witnessed this too, guys. I've witnessed officers who, when they get a trainee, for them, they want to impress the trainee, but not in a good way. They want to impress them by showing that they're the shit, that they're the bomb, that they could run this show. And what they do is they walk into that unit with a little more comfortability than they should have, and what they do is it's true, they lack situational awareness in their effort to kind of promote this image that they run the show. They wind up actually believing that no inmate is going to be testing them, that no inmate is doing anything foolish, because at the end of the day, well, who's going to mess with this officer? So they automatically assume that they don't have to do anything to maintain safety and security because they can trust the inmates, whether they don't think the inmates will stab them in the back or whether they set this domineering presence that no inmate would dare betray them. So what they do is they kind of showboat a little bit. And then basically, as I said, they walk around and total comfortability, which means that they are oblivious to the world that's around them. But if you are sending a rookie to train with someone that lacks situational awareness, to me, that is probably one of the most detrimental things you could do to a rookie on day one. What's your thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I've seen some of those myself, and the one thing that I try to teach the rookie is to always have eyes in the back of your head and trust your gut. It doesn't do no good to showboat and teach these rookies that showboating is okay, because you may do one cell search and come up with a little bit of contraband, but what you fail to teach the rookie is doing random pat searches on 3 inmates and 2 janitors that just went down the hallway that are trafficking marijuana and got away with it. We're not teaching them to be security minded. That's why coming into an area with somebody and they act like Billy Badass, or they're totally over arrogant in their job abilities. That should be an indicator that this person lacks a lot of situational awareness. He's not there to do the right thing. He's there to be noticed.
I agree with that, Joe. And now the next one we got is the last one of negative signs. It's isolate the rookie. So this is what I got when it comes to isolating the rookie. Why is it bad? Teamwork is critical in corrections. A rookie who's discouraged from building relationships with other staff won't develop the support network they need. The officer tells the rookie, stick with me, don't trust anyone else. The rookie becomes isolated and hesitant to seek help from colleagues. So I'm going to tell you something here. I agree. I think when a rookie is having a problem with some of the senior staff, because it could happen, a good training officer, a good mentor will do what they can to try to keep relationships going, not tell the rookie officer to avoid them. What they'll do is, I've seen good FTOs go to the senior officers and saying, yo, I'm advocating for this rookie. This rookie is trying to get an understanding of the job. I'm sending them to you and you're pushing them away. I need to fix that. Okay. Because at the end of the day I want this rookie to do right. I need to send them to the right people. And I know there's stuff that you can lean on that they can lean on from you, advice that you can provide that will help them throughout this career. So I think that's true. I think a good senior officer will also build relationships for that rookie. They don't isolate the rookie to thinking that if that senior officer is not here, I have nobody else to go to. And I've seen that happen. I've seen officers that if this was my officer I'm shadowing, they don't have good relationships with everyone else. So therefore they can't refer me anywhere. That's why, to be honest with you, another added note to an officer that is good at training, you got to make sure that they have good connection with their peers, supervisors, that they maintain good working relationships, because at the end of the day, that rookie is going to have to borrow on that senior officer's influence. Knowing that I may not be able to go there and get these relationships, but I know that Joe, who has a great relationship with these senior officers, can introduce me. And at first, even if they may want to push me away, Joe's word about me will matter, and that could give me a bit of a connection inside the door that I may need to surround myself with some good, strong senior peers. What's your thoughts on that, Joe? Would you agree?
Yeah, and it's integral that the rookies too. Take time, as a supervisor, you need to take time and know the rookies. Everybody has a trait that contributes to the professional of this agency. One may be a strong contraband find. Somebody may be a good verbal communicator. Everybody has a trait that they bring to the table regarding this profession. So, when you put somebody with the put a trainee with your veteran staff, make sure it's going to be somebody who's going to include them on everything. Somebody who is willing to, at the end of the day, depending on how your FTO program is, somebody at the end of the day who's going to get together with all the trainees and then, kind of debrief and as to the daily activities, include them in all the discussions and interactions, and be able to answer their questions. The last thing we want to do is isolate the rookie from the rest of the team. the biggest thing that we can instill besides teamwork, is besides professionalism and core values, we want to make sure that they know that they're part of a team, that they're not a person, that just a piece of the pie. They're part of the whole pie, and that's something that we need to try to instill on them.
Yeah, now, guys, before we go into the signs, we're halfway done, almost there. Before we go into the signs of what makes for a good officer to shadow, I just want to quickly, just briefly go over some bullets of why officers or senior officers develop into someone that you wouldn't want to shadow. So we talked about frequent complaints or negativity. That was number one. So the reason why that can happen is you got burnout or cynicism from years on the job, frustration with perceived lack of support or recognition, desire to vent but unaware of the impact on rookies, and lack of self-awareness about how their words influence others. As for cutting corners, you got complacency from routine or overfamiliarity with the job, overconfidence in knowing when rules don't matter, pressure to save time or reduce workload, and belief that minor breaches won't lead to major consequences. Then you got the overfamiliarity with inmates. And we'll make this in a show, I'm sure, one day. These are officers that misjudge the boundaries of professionalism and trust. They seek validation or camaraderie from inmates due to isolation or stress. These are the officers that may even seek popularity or approval. Officers that may chase respect to the point that it's detrimental. They underestimate the manipulative tendencies of inmates, and they believe that being friendly makes the job easier or safer. Fails to explain actions. So these are the officers that lack of patience or communication skills. Assumption that the rookies should just know or learn the hard way. So that's like the sink or swim. They also believe they forget what it's like to be a new officer, and they're focused more on task completion than mentoring. That's important. And these are stuff that we could explore in a later show. I just wanted to go over the signs right now. Then we'll do maybe a later on show about why this happens. Inconsistent behavior. So that's the fear of repercussion when supervisors are around. Adapting behavior based on personal convenience rather than policy. Lack of commitment to professional integrity, and the stress or burnout leading to unpredictable responses. Then you got the officer that discourages questions. So these are the officers that kind of view questions as a challenge to authority or competence. They're impatient with rookies who lack experience. It's burnout causing irritability or dismissiveness, and belief that rookies should learn independently as they did. Lack situational awareness. So these are officers with little overfamiliarity with the environment leading to complacency, tunnel vision or focus on immediate tasks, burnout or mental fatigue, reducing vigilance, and overconfidence in their ability to read the unit, which is what we talked about. And then the one that isolates the rookies, you got the distrust of colleagues due to past experience or internal politics, controlling personality or desire for loyalty from the rookies. So again, that's just deal with me. Insecurity about their own status leading to a need to dominate the rookie, and viewing teamwork as unnecessary or counterproductive. Eventually, Joe, what I would like to do, not for today, but later on down the line, I think I would like to make this as a follow-up show and just discuss that in itself, because I think we can have some fun with that one. Maybe we could do that later on down the line. If you're okay with that, maybe we'll do that, maybe the next episode. Maybe.
Sure.
All right, so now this is the second half. Signs you're shadowing the right person. Signs you're shadowing the right person. So the first thing I got here is, let's get to number one, professionalism and boundaries. So why is it good? A professional mentor teaches rookies how to maintain respect and authority without crossing boundaries. An example would be the officer interacts respectively with inmates, but avoids unnecessary personal conversations, modeling clear boundaries. You know what I could do, Joe? I could go over the bullets I have for that, so it can lead into your dialogue or our dialogue. So for the above, hold on one second. Let's get right here. For the above, I have professionalism and boundaries. These are officers that understands the importance of maintaining respect to preserve authority and safety. These are officers that value the integrity of their role and how it reflects on them professionally. So these are people that have ownership to what they do. Responsibility and accountability is woven in them. Recognizes the dangers of overfamiliarity and manipulation, and takes pride in setting a positive example for rookies to follow. What's your thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, somebody that you're shadowing, that you want to teach them how to have positive interactions, not so much being over familiar with the inmate, but teaching them to be direct, answer the questions, and keep moving. You want to teach the officer that it's okay to interact with the offenders, that it's okay to answer the questions that they have, as long as it's not of a personal nature. And that's where, the boundaries come in. You want to teach them and instill in them that it's not okay to answer questions about yourself. But, part of your job description is to interact with inmates verbally. And that's something that you're going to have to do. You do it respectively. You don't have to come in acting like Billy Badass. You don't have to come in cussing and screaming. You can teach them to be, a good professional employee.
I agree. And guys, I actually written books on manipulation. As I said before in the other, we talked about this earlier, I believe testing boundaries is something that will be tried often. And shadowing the right officer who knows how to control those boundaries is paramount for anyone's success in this profession. I don't think a lot of people think it's simple to avoid manipulation. I don't think it's that simple. And I think watching good senior officers navigate is probably one of the best things you could do in this profession. It's just, for me, it's helped me. So something I agree with. Okay, so I have positive reputation among staff. So what I have here is, let me get to the part. So what I have here is, why is it good? A mentor respected by peers reflects reliability and expertise. An example, other officers seek the mentor's advice, showing they're trusted and credible. You know what? Let me add that. That's actually a good point. So we kind of touched on this on the negative side, but you know what? I think it's pretty cool to shadow an officer, and then you see other officers going to them as well, maybe even supervisors. I think that automatically, like, oh, that draws me a little bit more to that individual. And I've seen it happen. I see supervisors going to our officers in training because they know they're the ones that, may have the answers for what's needed. So I do like seeing that. I do like seeing the officers that are in training have that level of credibility with, other senior officers and supervisors, maybe even prison management, because I think that also helps me as a rookie build my confidence, knowing I'm next to someone who is going to teach me pretty much how this facility runs and the why behind it all. But what's your thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the definitely the person you want to gravitate to, because most of the people in the field training officer position, or one that does the training, is directly linked to the information as it comes out real time. Should anything change in policies and procedures, they're almost what you would call a compliance sergeant at that point, because they're in the know-how, they're in the why. They have the direct access that you may not have at that time. And to see other officers, frontline supervisors, administrators, supervision go to that person for the answers, because they know that number one, they're directly linked to the information. Number two, they're going to give them the right information, regardless of whether it's good or bad. And it sets a precedence amongst the rest of the staff that this person is professional in every way, shape, or form. And that the information that they're going to give you is going to be good, solid information.
I agree. And now this is one of my favorite lessons. Explain the why behind action. I think it's the why that translates to buy-in. So kind of, you saw the negative. This is the positive side. Why is it good? Understand the purpose behind tasks help rookies develop critical thinking skills and decision-making skills. An example, during a search, the officer explains, we check these areas because inmates often hide contraband here. And again, just on another note too, it translates buy-in. It translates a chance to connect more with the senior officers and their experience. Because I think that when you share that experience, when you share that why, there's a level of vulnerability the senior officers passing off. And I think we tend to trust in vulnerability. So I love when senior officers used to share with me stories that helped develop them into something better than when they were coming in. And I love that express vulnerability, because believe it or not, when if I'm a rookie and I'm being trained next to a senior officer, I'm not looking for someone who's perfect. I want to hear failures, because I know this may sound crazy, but I can relate to that more. And I think that will also make me more confident. Again, I'm not saying someone to be a complete failure. They still have to have respect and be able to do their job, but it's good for the senior cop to be able to let me know that they weren't perfect coming in. And these are the things that cultivated them into who they are now. So I think that's a great way to connect with the rookie, help them build confidence, and then give them a chance to step into the role and not be afraid of making decisions. What's your thoughts on that, Joe?
Oh yeah, absolutely, wholeheartedly agree. You want somebody who's gonna, with the rookie, that's gonna be, a little bit vulnerable with them. You don't want somebody who has that God mentality, holier than thou. You want that rookie to understand that, you're gonna make mistakes as well. I've made mistakes, and that it's okay. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. Explaining the why behind everything, and having stories from your past as you were coming up as a rookie to share with them it's valuable, because it lets the rookie know that at some point I'm going to make a mistake. It's going to be okay. We're going to work through it, and that's how we grow and get our knowledge. What they say, successes come from failures, and that's because we explain the why. Why did it fail? And how did we, what did we do to turn it into a success? So, it's always going to be vital that, you teach the rookie the why, because they need to understand that it's okay that they're going to make a mistake. It's okay that, the training officer is not God. We're not looking to be with God. We're looking to be with somebody who's going to teach us the right way. I want somebody who's going to teach me the right thing to do because of their failures, and that's what, in the end, that's what we want.
Yeah. And then the next one I have is focused on safety and awareness. So why is that good? Emphasizing vigilance prepares rookies to spot risk and respond effectively. An example, the officer points out subtle signs of tension like inmates pacing or whispering, teaching the rookie to read the environment. What's great? I used to work with a good officer that didn't only teach me how to observe, but how to translate the observation, which was really took a lot of time, a lot of investment from that senior officer, but in return, I was also invested with what they were teaching. So it wasn't a wasted investment. I mean, this was an officer that wasn't just spending time with me. They were investing time. And I was very receptive to their stories. They would tell me, on the surface, what do you, this is what I see. And these are the many things that could be happening in that moment. So they didn't just teach me what to look for, but they taught me how to translate those actions within a context of, just a higher level context. So basically, it wasn't just seeing something on the surface, but how everything could possibly connect to understand the bigger picture behind it all. And that was one of the actual officers who, and me and Russ had a dialogue on this not too long ago, that taught me how to connect the dots. Basically, this is what you see, and then this is why you may be seeing these things. But now let's start connecting it and try to come up with a better determination of what it is that you're actually seeing in front of you. So I think that's key. I think that's extremely key. Officers that take the time to teach you the subtle things, because in the end, guys, truly the subtle things are what could be life-saving. What's your thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, the one thing we need to do is teach him that, everything is not the norm. Teaching them to have eyes in the back of their head and their head on a swivel. I used to, when I did training, especially on a cell block or a pod, I would tell the trainees, I want you to take a look at that janitor and tell me what you think is out of the ordinary. And they would come back and they say, well, he's just pushing a mop bucket around. I said, okay, well, he's pushed the mop bucket up and down the same run 4 times. I think we need to go take a look at that bucket and see see if he's passing any contraband. And, lo and behold, in this one instance, they were actually trying to pass hooch down the run. So the rookies were kind of excited about that. And it taught them in the end run to be aware that, just a janitor pushing a mop bucket is just not a janitor pushing a mop bucket. He may be transporting contraband. He may be, you know, whatever the case is. You know, teaching them situational awareness and to understand, to question everything is paramount, because, you know, a random pat search may turn up drugs. A random pat search may turn up, you know, a shank. If you're out on the rec yard, you know, or, you know, you're one of the recreation officers and you're teaching a rookie, teach them to look for little things. You know, if they're out there in their sneakers and they're playing basketball and everything's going good, or playing, you know, handball, everything's going good, is a normal. Seeing them grouped up in different cliques on the rec yard, definitely not normal. Something to be aware of. If you see them out there in their boots all laced up, definitely not normal. Something to be aware of. So it teaches them that the normal everyday processes of the you know, the prison is not normal. So teaching them to look for the little things like that, and teaching them to be constantly situationally aware, where, you know, both safety and just good professional safety awareness.
Yeah, I like good senior officers that teach our rookies a healthy sense of curiosity, not to the point where you're paranoid, because it's curiosity within context. You know, it's not curiosity in isolation. You know, because again,
Yeah.
I could look at everything at an individual level and be nervous. Oh my God, you know, but when they start teaching you a healthy curiosity in a context of how it all applies within the moment, it teaches rookies to ask why. Again, it's going beyond the surface. Never accept the surface. All right, so a couple more left. Patience and encouragement. Why is that good? So rookies need mentors who create a supportive learning environment and encourage questions. And then you have the example as the rookies ask about protocol and the officer responds, great questions. Here's why we do it the way we do it. You know, when you're training the rookies, you can't see them as a burden, and they're also not your slaves. They're not there to do your work while you sit back and do nothing. I mean, at the end of the day, is if you're going to assign them to something, you got to be next to them to show them the importance of the assignment, show them the significance behind the work, and not just give them the work or overwhelm them with the work. That's another thing. I'm going to overwhelm the rookie, and you know, he'll learn how it is to rough it out in this profession. Come on, guys, that's a bunch of BS. I mean, now the officer is going to distaste the job. He's not going to like the job, or she's not going to like the job, and then she's going to think no one, or he's going to think no one cares about them. You just throw me to the wolves. It's not a way to open up the rookie into this profession. It's basically be next to them, teach them, answer their questions, and they can find a connection to the work. And then one day they could do the same. They could pass it off. That's the key, right? It's passing off the torch. So even if you never went through that, then why continue the legacy of that crap? If you didn't like it, then why continue? I mean, that's a funny thing. Well, I remember when I was a senior, when I was a rookie, and this is what they did to me. Yeah, but do you remember how you felt? That's the
Absolutely.
one thing you never seem to mention. Do you remember how you felt when it was happening? Why would you want to have someone else relive that? What's your thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's the one thing that they don't do. They don't think back to you know, how they were treated and manipulated into doing the job that they didn't want to do, and how that made you feel. You know, therefore, why would we project that onto somebody else? You got to have patience with these rookies. They're going to ask questions. They're going to be eager, sometimes overly eager. You got to be patient enough to be able to reel them in and you know, take it step by step. You know, encourage them to ask the questions. Encourage them when they do something good. You know, give them the credit that they deserve. You know, we want to encourage them to be you know, eager in their profession. We want to encourage them to ask questions, because that's how they learn. That's how they grow. If you're one of those, you know, type of people that you like to rush to get through something, and, you know, they're asking questions, well, why are we doing this? You know, because I said so, because this is what we do. This is how we do it. You know, this is what we do. You know, it's not a good standard to set for them. We want them paired with somebody who's going to take the time to explain and be transparent about the whole situation. You know, part of our job duties is not only to run this block, but we got to do pat searches, you know, in and out of the area. You know, we have to do, you know, mail call. We got to do all of this. We want somebody who is going to explain the entire thing and, do it with the professionalism that you still keep the interest of the rookie. But at the same time, when the rookie's asking questions, don't shut them down. Don't brush them off. Don't give them a short answer. Encourage them to be eager and to seek the knowledge and whatever it is that they need from from not just from you but from the agency.
I agree. And now I have consistent and reliable behavior. So why is it good? A consistent mentor models professionalism that the rookies can emulate. An example, the officer always follows procedures showing the rookie the importance of integrity. I want to mention something too. When I was rookie, as I mentioned this earlier, because a lot of things are just the opposite of the negative signs. But I want to mention something. When I noticed an officer being consistent, I knew that that's not an easy thing to accomplish. So I can actually see experience there. Because as inmates are trying the officer, testing boundaries, trying to get the officer to be inconsistent, that's where you see experience speak. Because that officer is going to navigate in such a professional way to keep that inmate within the boundaries of whatever that prescribed role is, expectation, whatever it is. So consistency is great to watch in action. For me, that's what I want my rookies to see. I want them to see a senior officer navigating the complexity of an inmate trying to test the boundaries, but the officer standing firm in their own resolve, not an outside external justification, but rather this is what I expect from me, not because the sergeant told me or not because my partner doesn't want that today. No, this is what I expect, and just staying in that resolve, because that's where you see someone that has value, integrity, and they're holding on to it as they're being challenged. So to me, you got an officer that's consistent, got reliable behavior. I think that's a good officer that you could put in front of a rookie, and the rookie will be able to see that and say, you know what, that's where I need to be. That's where I need to be, because I think that's the biggest fear is when one of the biggest fears when officers come into this profession, some of their biggest fears, I'm all over the place with that, but is going to be tested and how to maneuver around those efforts. So to see an officer step up and show them what they're able to do, and then maybe even translate how they did it and why it's done this way, I think is another great tool for an officer to have, or a rookie officer to see happening in front of them. And I will say this one more thing, Joe. This is something they have to see. It's not something that they can read about. It's not something that you can teach in a classroom. I mean, this is right here the reason why you need those senior officers there.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember back in my rookie days, I remember who I wanted to emulate, learn things from. You had the professional officer who was dressed professionally. His uniform was right and tight. I was with one officer for a week, and no matter what duty post that we were assigned to, if it was a pod, if it was a dorm, if it was segregation, if it was medical, if it was a rec yard, this person was the same. The respect that he demanded from the inmate population was the same no matter what. He was consistent in his duties. He, the minute he stepped onto an area, the inmates knew of him, about him, and who he was, and that, knew that, he was going to command compliance, from the offenders through policy and regulation. And he was doing it by just, walking around in everyday means. When you see that is definitely the type of person that you want to emulate. If you see a person's behavior change from duty post to duty post, you're not going to gather much from them. Because, consistency and being reliable in not only who you are personally to yourself, but who you are to the inmate population. If you're the type of person that, can do your job, enforcing rules and regulations, can solve 80% of your situations using your verbal judo, is always a good thing, And the one thing I remember about this officer is not once did he ever have to call for a supervisor to come down there. Not once, because the inmates knew his word was pretty much gold. He was never going to tell the inmate population wrong. He was never going to steer anybody from breaking a rule or regulation. So to me, that was the type of person I wanted to emulate. I wanted to have that respect factor in the sense that I just didn't want to have to call a supervisor down there, but because of the fact that his behavior has never changed from duty post to duty post to duty post. And you're going to know, you'll know right off the bat with the person that you're with, regardless, whether or not that you're going to get anything from them. If they come out dressed like they just came out of a back of a U-Haul truck, you can pretty much bet that you're not going to get much knowledge from that person because they don't care enough to be professional. But like I said, if you're with somebody who's right and tight, can take you from duty post to duty post, and his behaviors and his mannerisms just does not change at all, even in a shoe environment, a super seg, if their mannerisms don't change, but yet he gets respect and compliance from the offender population, that's the person you want to emulate.
Yeah, and guys, when we say consistency, it's like what Joe said. It's consistency in regard to having that level of control and authority. Again, when inmates look to break that inconsistency, they're looking to shift some level of control or authority. So it's not consistency. It's not consistency as being utilized as a fail-safe and comfortable, as a fail-safe to fall back into what's comfortable, because there are going to be times where we have to shift plans. So I'm not saying consistency in regards to specific plans, but rather consistency in holding on to that authority, holding on to that level of control, and not using consistency as a fail-safe to fall back into what's comfortable when it's not working. So let's just get that out there, because there's going to be a lot of people that could say, well, what about the consistencies backwards? No, I'm talking about consistency in what's expected of you within that correctional objective, but more importantly, in your sense of control and authority. And the last one I got here, Joe, is promotes teamwork. So why is this good? So encouraging collaboration helps rookies build relationships and learn from the team. And the example, the officer introduces the rookie to colleagues and explains the importance of communication during emergencies. I want to, this is quick. I'm going to give you the biggest cliche here. Is obviously corrections is a team sport. We're all in it together. We have to see what our skills are, what our talents are, and how does that work best to complement the team. But at the end of the day, I love when you have a good senior officer that's highlighting teamwork, that showcases a picture of us all working together, and not just those myopic teams, not just custody, but I'm talking about, how are you working with medical? How are you working with the program service? I mean, they really kind of bring in all layers of the house together, and they promote teamwork on a scale that is truly beneficial for the house as a whole, as well as the department. Because I truly do believe that what's beneficial for the house as a whole will ultimately ripple down to the department. And in some cases, not all the time, it doesn't always work in the other way. Sometimes what's best for a department may not, actually maybe most of the time, may not work with what's best for the house. So we have to know where those priorities must shift. But with that said, a good senior officer will know that what's best for the house usually will filter its way down to, at that time, what's best for what's needed at that frontline level. So a good senior officer or a good training officer doesn't just connect the rookie to that same whatever the custody side of it all. They're introducing the rookie to all levels of the house, from rehabilitation to services, all the way up to prison management, and how we all work together to complete that bigger picture. What's your thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, definitely. You want to teach a well-rounded cadet, the full scope of a prison environment. I always, I would take them through, classification. I would take them through the count room, for an hour or two, just to let them see the process, why they do what they do, medical, disciplinary hearing office, counsel substitute, law library, all of that, because in the end, it's going to give the officer a better picture, commissary or canteen, whichever they call it there. I would take them to all these areas and let them see the processes in addition to their daily frontline correctional officer job duties, because it gives them a better picture of what happens, what's going on, why we do what we do. Especially when they're like calling commissary and we're sending 25 up to commissary, they don't understand why we're taking IDs from the day room or why we're, holding on to IDs. So it gives them a better understanding of their frontline correctional experience or their frontline correctional duties when you take them and give them a bigger picture of a well-rounded prison environment and make them understand what the different departments do and why we have to do what we do in order to be able to work with these departments.
Right. And guys, I kind of skipped through it, but when we did the first one, I gave some bullets for professionalism and boundaries. I got some bullets for the other 7. And then what I'll do is maybe me, Joe, and Russ, or Joe, Russ, or whatever it is, me, Joe, me, Russ, whatever it is, we'll do these on 2 separate shows. So I have one, maybe we'll do in the near future, and we'll title it, this would be for the negative signs, mentorship gone wrong, the impact of toxic senior officers in corrections. And what we'll do is we'll break down why people have grown into those negative signs, but then we'll do those that maintain the positive, and that will fall within these areas. So but we did professional and boundaries, but to reiterate, understand that these are people that understand the importance of maintaining respect to preserve authority and safety, values the integrity of their role and how it reflects on the profession, recognizes the dangers of overfamiliarity and manipulation, and takes pride in setting a positive example for rookies to follow. Then you got the positive reputation among staff. So these are people that value teamwork and want to be seen as a reliable resource. They understand that trust among peers leads to stronger, more cohesive environments. They take pride in their credibility and influence within the team, and they recognize that their behavior sets a standard for others, including the rookies. Those that explain why behind their actions, they understand, obviously, they believe in empowering rookies through knowledge and context. They understand that a well-trained officer contributes to a safer facility. They find satisfaction in mentoring and seeing rookies grow into competent professionals, and they recognize that understanding tasks prevents mistakes and improves performance. As for focus on safety and awareness, these are people that prioritize vigilance to ensure the safety of staff and inmates. They value their role as a protector and wants to instill that same mindset in the rookies. They understand the importance of situational awareness and preventing incidences, and they take pride in training rookies to be proactive and observant. Patience and encouragement. These are people that believe in fostering a positive learning environment for rookies. They understand that questions and mistakes are part of the learning process. They find fulfillment in helping rookies build confidence and competence, and they value a supportive culture that benefits the entire team. Consistent and reliable behavior. These are people that take pride in being a role model for professionalism and integrity. They understand the importance of consistency in building trust and credibility. They believe that following policies ensures safety and sets a good example, and they ensure they agree with, or they believe that they value their own reputation and the legacy they leave behind in their role, and promotes teamwork. These are people that recognize that corrections rely on collaboration and maintain safety and order. They value building strong relationships to create a supportive network. They take pride in fostering a sense of unity among staff, including rookies, and they understand that teamwork leads to better communication and crisis management. And the last part I got is strategies for rookies shadowing the wrong person. This is quick. You want to seek input from other officers, so quietly ask experienced staff for advice or clarification to fill gaps left by the officer you're shadowing. Document what feels off, so keep a record of behaviors that don't align with what you've learned about professionalism or safety, and request a reassignment if needed. If the situation is unworkable, approach a supervisor and explain the need for a new mentor in a professional manner. What's your thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, definitely. If you feel something's off or you feel that, you're not being included or taught the full scope that you should be, it's okay to ask questions of other officers. Definitely okay to get with the supervisor and, kind of voice your concerns. If it means that you request a reassignment to another officer, the main thing to this is don't just take it at face value. Don't think that what they're teaching you is okay. If you have questions or concerns, voice them. Don't, if you know that the shadowing officer that you're placed with is not a professional officer, don't take what they say as gospel. Don't take as what they say as, gold. Be sure to voice your questions with some other officers. Voice them with the supervisor for sure.
I agree. Hey, Joe, anything you would like to say in closing, sir?
Yeah, when it comes to rookies, we only have one shot at training these guys the right way. Once we teach them the wrong way, there's no way of getting them back into the right way. So it's imperative that we teach them the right way. Put them with somebody who's professional. Put them with somebody who's going to be patient and take the time to explain and be transparent as to why we do what we do. I'm not saying that the hows and the whats aren't important, but the whys were equally important. We need to be able to answer these guys, these rookies' questions meaningfully and honestly, and with transparency. Even if they question something that they know that you did wrong, it doesn't hurt to say, yeah, I screwed that up. I shouldn't have done it that way. These are the type of people that we need to put these rookies with to get the knowledge, the training that they need. Once you train them the wrong way, it takes forever to get them back into the right way. So, the biggest objective is to make sure that we're training them the right way.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to do this show. I wanted to kind of give the rookies a chance to recognize bad signs and good signs. But I think the next show, as I said, will kind of break it down a little bit more. But let's just give out something that they can utilize right away, give them a foundation, and then we can explore these individualized areas, because this will be more about, why those bad signs now exist in the individual. And it's not an effort to forgive, but more an effort to recognize there's context. But as always, guys, the show is tiered up. If you haven't, please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. Bell's going to notify every time I post a video. Stay safe.